All right, so when you get done with all 12 of your shapes, that's when you have to take a picture. Okay, so don't forget to do that tomorrow so that you don't have other shapes on there. And then you're going to upload that to, it's called the 12-step color wheel, and it is listed for the tomorrow's date. Okay? All right, so after you're done with that, you want to start filling in the spaces so that you have all the other spaces filled. And I have some examples here. Okay, and I have another video that you're going to see before this, but this is a finished one, and you can definitely see that all the spaces have been filled. You're not going to have any patterns on here first, obviously. We want to paint because if we use Sharpie on it, it's going to smear, yes? Okay, so we want all the spaces filled in. Here's another one. You can see which spaces have lighter colors. So you want to make sure and put more layers on some of those, but we don't want them to be super filled with paint because they're hard to use the Sharpie over the top. Does that make sense? All right, so once you do that, then you start by deciding where you want certain colors. So if I have purple here, do I want to put the same color purple next to it? Because you won't see that shape. So we have to use contrast, and that's one of the art terms that's up there, okay? So if I want to have a contrasting color, what color could I put here? Yellow, so something from opposite on the color wheel. You could also have something next to the color wheel, but you definitely want them to look different, okay? So if I choose yellow, I'm going to paint this. And you have to remember the skills that we've been working on, and I have them listed here. When you mix your colors, and I talk about color, you have to make sure they're the correct color before you put them on your paper. If you don't, you could wreck your paper, yes? Yeah. Okay? Appearance, when we talk about edges, what am I talking about? I want the edges messy or neat? Neat. Okay? All right. Before I talk about the other skills, I want to talk about this. So I have my yellow here. I want to paint yellow in 4 more spaces. So I want to have 5 shapes that have the same color. Do I want to paint a shape next to it? Where do I want to paint next? Where do I want to paint, guys? A shape that's not touching it. So I could paint this one right here. And then I would go ahead and I'd paint maybe 3 on this side. Does that make sense? So then it's going to start to look like this one. So what colors have I started to add to the outer areas? Yellow and red. It's going to make things faster if you do that, so you don't have to change your brush color, that sort of thing. Does that make sense? On here I have certain letters labeled. You can certainly label them if you want to make sure that it's perfect, but I know some of you have forgotten to erase. Yes. So if you just make sure that the shapes are different colors that are next to it, then it works out fine. Okay? We just don't want to have all the red ones on this side and all the yellow ones on this side because then it becomes unbalanced. And that's another art term up there. Spread your colors out, use contrast. Does that make sense? Okay. Last skill that I want to talk about is construction. How do you know how much water to use, how much paint to use? You don't really know until you put that on your paper, right? Okay, so watch what you're doing. Yes? That's it.